Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the background campaign for Hero Realms. Corvette and Capitan Zimmer is back on R&R right now after his tour in the Hunters last week, so now we're going back to move back to the background campaign for Hero Realms. The first time we tried this battle, we got hammered pretty hard. Per our house rule, a second loss will see the background campaign end. Anyway, first up, let's go through the story for the scenario. So let me find, here we go. Encounter 6, the Beastmaker. I rarely have need to spread my wings, Malvan screeches from above, but you continue to surprise me. You look up to see the elf high in the air, beating a pair of huge bat wings. It appears his vile transformations aren't limited to the unwitting people of Heart's End. An archer to your left fires an arrow, but Malvan dodges easily. Patience, my friends, I will be with you soon. His eyes fix on the glowing slash that wouldn't heal, and I see one of you will be with me soon. He floats down 20 paces from your group. As his feet reach the ground, you watch his wings form back into arms. Life is about change, wouldn't you agree? Here, let me show you. Alright, that's everything in terms of the story. The rest of it relates to setup that we did last night, so let's actually bring Malvan back in shot and go ahead and meet him. Malvan actually has four other forms, four other forms that he goes through. We'll go through those when they become relevant. First up, we'll take a look at his normal form, Beastmaker. Starts off with 120 health. Class ability cards and class skill cards are turned off. When the card comes up blue, deal 1 damage to the infected player, which will be the infected player. Stun the highest defense champion among all players. Green is his preferred. Deal 2 damage to the infected player, you discard a card. Red, deal 3 damage to the infected player and he gains 3 combat. And yellow, deal 4 damage to the infected player and he heals for 4. This is going to be fun. Again, we got hammered pretty hard at this, but that's it for Malvan. Now let's move over to the board. Unfortunately, most of this is irrelevant. Actually, this one might not be, the armor that he's got. The Spellcaster's Gloves. He can activate this at 25 or more health. Exhaust it. If you have 2 or more actions in play, gain either 2 combat or 2 health. A couple of channel abilities. He's got his regular channel that he can spend. He can exhaust it and spend 2 gold to gain a health and draw a card. All power has a price. Then his Calm channel is exhaust and spend 2 gold to draw a card, but again, irrelevant here. Fire Blast. If you trash this, deal 4 damage to target master or minion. That's once per scenario. And I went through being infected. For his starting hand, which is over here, we've got some pretty good stuff over here. So we've got, we're only going to have the 1 action, so that's rather unfortunate, but we do have a cat familiar that we can lean on as well. We've got our Ignite for 2 well, actually, we'll go through all of these when we play them out. So let's move over to the market and look at what our starting market is. We have 2 cards that are always available. First, we have the Fire Gem for 2 gold. That we can get 2 gold when we play it, and we can trash it for 3. And we've got the Tasty Meal available from an earlier scenario. Also costs 2 gold. We get 2 gold when we play it, and we can trash it for 4 health. Now let's go through our starting big market cards. So first up we find Orc Grunt, which is 3 gold. Exhaust it for 2 combat, and an ally ability with the Wild, draw a card. Guard strength of 3, which means they'd have to do 3 damage to that before he can take it, before he can attack us. Next up, another Orc Grunt, which we just went through. Then, Death Touch for 1. It's an action curse. It's got the Ruinos ability. 2 combat, you may sacrifice a hand in your card in your hand or discard pile. Ally ability with red gives you 2 more combat. Next up, Taxation for 1 gold. You get 2 gold when you play it, and ally ability with the yellow faction gives you 6. Gives you 6 health. And our last card, Arcus Imperial Dragon for 8 gold. Exhaust it for 5 combat and draw a card. Ally ability heals you for 6. Guard strength of 6. 6 health. So, that is not a great hand, or not a great market for healing. It's probably a great market for racing damage, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. But I think we're all set to get into this playthrough, so let's jump in with our first turn. Our first turn is not going to be a great start. We're going to start off with our Cat Familiar that we can exhaust for 1 combat, 1 gold, or 1 health. Combat strength of 2. Meow. But he can't ignore it. It doesn't have the guard keyword on it. We've got 2 more gold. Then we've got a Fire Staff for 1 combat. If you have 2 or more actions in play, draw a card, which we don't. And an Ignite, which is our only action, for 2 combat. Every Inferno starts with a Spark. The 3 combat will hit Malvan for 3 to bring him down to 117. I'll exhaust the Cat Familiar to get a 3rd gold, and that will give me an Orc Grunt. We'll move that over to the discard pile. Actually, we'll replace first with Recruit, which is another yellow card for 2. For 2 gold. You get 2 gold and 3 health, plus 1 health for each champion you have in play. And as an ally ability with the yellow faction, you get 1 gold. So we'll draw back up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a glance at the hand. See, we've got some... Ooh, looks like we've got some firepower coming from that. Alright, then our first card from Malvan. Take a look at this. Actually, we'll unexhaust the Cat Familiar. Oh, this is fun. Frenzied Heart for 5 health, with a guard strength of 5. Exhausts for 5 health, and if Malvan was level 2, he'd get another plus 5 health. That's not going to be fun. Then the green ability is deal 2 damage to the infected player, so I got on to 48. And I have to discard a card on my turn, which is unfortunate. The Frenzied Heart will prepare for 5 combat, which will be enough to take out the Cat Familiar and hit me for another 3, which will bring me down to 45. Oop. So not a great start to the turn. We lose our Cat Familiar right off the bat. We need to take out that Frenzied Heart, though, but let's see what happens in round 2. Unfortunately, I do have to discard a card, which will be a plain gold. That Frenzied Heart's going to hurt. So I will start off by playing my Arcane Wand, which will let me draw a card, and for the rest of the turn, when I play an action, I gain 1 combat. So the card I draw from that is an Ignite, which will give me another combat for a total of 3. Then a Magic Mirror will let me draw a card and reveal it. If it's an action, I get to draw another card. So I will draw a gold, which is not an action, so I just get to draw the card. Then I have 1 gold, 2, 3, 4, and the next action I acquire this turn costs me 1 less. With that, I'll grab a Taxation for free, and then the market replaces immediately, so I will find a Spark, which is another action for 1. 3 combat, target opponent discards a card, and with ally with Wild is another 2 combat, which I have 4 combat to play with, so I'll grab that Spark, which will give me 3 left, and I will find, to replace it, Wolf Form for 5. 8 combat, target opponent discards a card, and I can scrap it to have an opponent discard another card. Now, discarding a card works a little bit different in the solo mode. I believe it just gives you extra combat. I'm going to take a quick look at that, though. The Master would discard a card instead. Okay, never mind. So the way it works is actually that the active player looks at the top card of the master's deck and either keeps it on top or discards it. Okay, so 3 combat, which I'll use to hit the boss down to 114 because I can't take out the Frenzied Heart, even though I need to, desperately. And that is it. So everything will move to the discard pile. I'll draw back up. I'll draw 1, and then I'll draw 4 more, drawing back up to 5. We need to get some serious firepower to deal with that Frenzied Heart pronto. And unfortunately, I can't use any of my abilities, and, well, this might be helpful, but we'll have to see what happens. So next card from Malvan's deck is a Pecking Chicken. Oh, come on. Exhausted for 1 actually, that's, yeah, 1 combat, and discard a random card with no cost. At level 2, it would instead give me 2 combat and discard 2 random cards with no cost. And because it's blue, I take 1 damage, so I go down to 44. There's the 4. I know it's on there. So I'll exhaust both champions for another 6 combat, and I have to discard a card at random with no cost, which is my entire hand. I'll be taking another 6 here in a second. And the card we're discarding is this one, so we're losing. We're losing our Ignite. That's wonderful. And then I take another 6 to go down to 38. And then both of them prepare. Losing that Ignite really hurt, because I was going to need that, most likely to take out the Pecking Chicken, but we're into round 3 now, and our problems are just starting to multiply. So let's see if we can get out of this. Right, so let's get started with the Magic Mirror, which will let me draw a card and reveal it. If it's an action, I get to draw another card, so I will find Spell Components, which is not an action, it's an item, which means I will play the Spire Staff for 1. I have no actions this turn. And then I have 3 actions, and the next action I acquire costs me 1 less. So I'll grab a Death Touch with that for free, and then replacing it will be Influence for 2. It's a red card. I get 3 gold when I play it, and scrap it for 3 combat. Then for 3, I'll grab another Orc Grunt, and then replacing that is Krythos Master Vampire. 7 combat, or 7 gold, which is a dream. Exhausted for 3 combat, and I can sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. If I do, I gain an additional 3, and a non-guard strength of 6. Let's see, 1 is going to take Malvan down to 113, but this is probably going even worse than the first playthrough did. So I'll move those over to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll see we've got some firepower coming out, but yeah, we're not getting much help here. So next card from Malvan. He transforms into the Web Spinner. Master moves into the master area and transforms into web spinning spider form. Don't change his level. Then resolve his preferred ability. So web spinning spider form is right here. Player champions can't prepare. Oh, fantastic. Blue, deal 4 damage to you, stun your expended champions. Green, preferred, deal 5 damage to you. The 2 highest guard defense champions among all players become expended. Red, deal 3 damage to you. Whenever a minion expends for its first time this turn, prepare it. It expends again. And deal 2 damage to you. Then yellow. Put a random minion from the master discard pile into your play area. That's called a yeah right. So that'll be another 6 combat from them, and the Pecking Chicken means I have to discard a card with no cost. The Orc Grunt is the only card that's safe from that. And we'll be discarding the Arcane Wand. Give me a break. And then I take another 6 to go down to 32. This isn't going to last long. Then both of them prepare. And round 3 is coming up here. And yeah, this is turning into a big problem. Well, the Orc Grunt is about all the Orc Grunt's going to do this turn is let me take out the Pecking Chicken, which is not going to be a bad thing at all. Then I've got a total of 3 gold. I can use the Cat Familiar if I want to get that up to 4. Actually, no, I can't because I need the Cat Familiar to get me up to 3 combat to get rid of this stupid Pecking Chicken that's already driving me nuts. And then for 3, I'll grab a I'm going to... The way this Frenzied Heart's hitting me, the way both of them are going to start hitting me here, I'm going to be lucky to shuffle my deck again. I'm going to take the Recruit, though, and gamble that I'll be able to shuffle my deck again. So let's see what happens here. If this is a 1, I'll grab it. It's a smash and grab for 6. Blue card. Gain 6 combat, and I can put a card from my discard pile on top of my deck. I think I'm actually going to scrap the Silver Skull Amulet to draw a card, so I can start cycling through my deck. So I will draw Taxation, which will give me another 2 gold, so now I'm back up to 3. I'll grab the Influence, and I'm back in the same spot where if this is a 1 cost, I'll grab it. I will find that it is decidedly not a 1 cost. Brilliant Lore Weaver, Champion Elf Mage for 4. Expend for 2 combat or for 2 gold, and Wild Ally ability, target opponent discards a card. So the Cat Familiar and the Orc Grunt are both expended. 1, 2, 3, 4. The only way the Orc Grunt survives into my next turn is by a miracle. If we can take out that Frenzied Heart, though, that'll put me in a better place. Let's see what kind of fire... Actually, we now have all of our ally abilities back online. Well, at least we can take out the Frenzied Heart next turn. But let's see what Malvan's doing. His next card. Now he's transforming into Venomous Snake and resolving his preferred ability. Alright, so Venomous Snake... At the end of the master step, deal 1 damage to the active player and each player nearby them. Blue ability, deal 4 damage to each nearby player champion in your area and in each area nearby you. Green is his preferred ability. You and each player nearby you discard a card for 5 combat. Red, deal 3 damage to you and each player nearby you. Yellow, heal 3 plus 3 for each player nearby you. So I'll have to discard a card. He'll get 5 combat off of that. I'll discard just a plain gold. Then the Frenzied Heart will expend for another 5, which will take both of them out, and I'll take 5 to the face, going down to 27. Yeah, this isn't great. I also haven't been able to use my Spellcaster's Gloves once, but at least my class ability cards are now turned back on. So that'll do it for Malvan's round 3, round 4, and let's see if we can get out of this disaster. Well, I'll start off with a Spark. That'll give me 3 combat and target opponent discards a card. So let's see what Malvan has. On top of his deck, he finds Frenzied Heart. No, we're discarding that in a heartbeat. Mainly because I don't want to replace one Frenzied Heart with another one, so the 5 combat will go take this existing one out. And then I've got 3 gold to buy with, which is 1 short of getting me to Brolean. I think I'm just going to grab a tasty meal with that and plan on scrapping that to heal. Actually, I only have 1 action. Actually, no, I have 3 actions in play, so I can exhaust this to gain either 2 combat or 2 health. I think I need the 2 health at this point, honestly. So I'll go up to 29 with that. And what do I want to do with 3 gold? I think we'll use 2 and expend Calm Channel to draw a card, so I will draw. Fire Staff, which I'll play out for another combat, which I can actually do some damage to Malvan, but I get to draw another card, so I will draw. Spell Components. The next action I acquire costs me 1 less, which I don't think... So I'm up to exactly 4 gold, but there are no actions. Actually, Wolf Form's out, but that would cost me 4. Smash and Grab would cost me 5, and I only have 2 left to spend, so I will grab a tasty meal with that. And plan on scrapping that on my next turn. Which means all of this will will prepare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Looks like we got some pretty good stuff coming up here, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. Let's see what Malvan's doing this turn. He is bringing a Clever Fox out. Can't be targeted by... It's clever. This can't be attacked or targeted by players in other areas. Expend to gain 3 combat. Non-guard strength of 3. With a red, so deal 3 damage, which means I'm taking a total of 6. And going down to 23. So that will prepare. Unfortunately, in round 5, I can take that out right away. I'll start off with a Recruit to give me 2 gold and 3 health, which will solve one of my pressing problems. Actually, at the end of the Master Step, I should have taken 1, so I'll be down to 25. Then I've got another gold to bring me up to 3. Influence will get me up to 6. And a Death Touch, which I can sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. And the ally ability for that's turned on. So I will sacrifice... let's get rid of a plain gold. And then I've got an Ignite, which gives me a total of 4, 6, 9 combat if I feel like sacrificing Influence, and I don't think I do right now. 6 will be fine, mostly because I'm going to take out the Clever Fox and do some damage to Malvan. Let's see, then I've got 6. Let's grab... We're near the point where we're about to shuffle the deck. We have 1 more draw on that, so I actually am going to grab Brolean, and then we'll replace the market. With Rayla Endweaver, expend for 3 combat, ally ability with red, draw a card, non-guard strength of 4. And that... I'll expend Calm Channel and give me 2 health and my last 2 gold to draw a card, so I will draw. Another gold, which will ultimately float away to waste. Anyway, that will all move to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll give this a shuffle. Here, in truth, I was going to say I wouldn't mind a heal, mostly because I'm not going to be getting hit, but seeing the minions that we've had come out so far, that's going to be accompanied by something dangerous. And 5, let's see what we've got in the hand to start with. Okay, it's not completely hopeless, just mostly hopeless, but let's see what Malvan is doing here. He... transforming into the Galloping Elk. So now in the Galloping Elk form, this master's abilities generate double combat on a turn when he doesn't move. 8 combat to lure. Blue, this moves to the area with the most player champions and stuns the one with the highest defense, strength of 3. Green moves to the area of the player with the most actions in hand. They discard an action and gives 4 combat. This moves to the area of the player with the most cards in their discard pile. They sacrifice one of those cards with cost 1 or more and get 2 combat. And yellow, which is preferred, this moves to the area of the player with the most health and 6 combat. So it moves into my face, essentially, and gives him 6 combat, which I will get hit with down to 19. This is not fun at all. That's it for Malvan's turn. We're into turn 6 now, and I need to try to do some serious damage here now that the coast is something resembling clear. I'm going to start off with the Arcane Wand, which will let me draw a card, and for the rest of the turn when I play an action, I gain a combat, so I will draw. Another gold, which is not very helpful. Then I'll play a Magic Mirror to draw a card and reveal it. If it's an action, I draw another card, so first I will draw. Spell Components, which is not an action, the flavor text on here. What do you need that for? Then I've got an Orc Grunt that I can expend for 2 combat. Then I'll have a total of 5 gold. I do have an action. And the first action I buy costs me 1 less. I'll expend the Orc Grunt for 2 combat, which I'll hit Malvan for 3 to bring him down to 107. This is still not a great position to be in. See, then I got 3, 4, 5, and my first action costs me 1 less, which will grab me a Smash and Grab, as weird as this sounds. Then replacing the market, that'll clean me out completely of gold. A Profit for 1, another blue card. Get 2 gold when you play it. Ally ability gives you 4 combat. All of this moves to the discard pile. The Orc Grunt prepares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll see, we've got some decent firepower coming, including a tasty meal that I'm probably going to cash in and nothing flat. But let's see what Malvan's doing this turn. The infection takes over. Oh joy. Deal 12 damage to the infected player unless they or a player nearby them reveals a wild card in hand. Fortunately, I have the Orc Grunt in hand, so that doesn't do anything to me. For blue, moves to the area with the most player champions, which is the only one, then stuns the one with the highest defense, which gets rid of the Orc Grunt, and gives him 3 total of 6 combat because it doubles, which he hits me in the face with, bringing me down to 13. Delightful. Right, so turn 7 now, and yeah, this is starting to go very sideways on me in a hurry, but let's see what we can do here. We'll start off with another Orc Grunt to replace the one we just lost. Then a Recruit, which will give me 2 gold and 4 health because I now have a champion in play, bringing me back up to 17. Then we've got a Tasty Meal for another 2 gold. I'm immediately going to be cashing that in for another 4 health. I'm just going to take the 4 health now. And then once I move everything to the discard pile, I'll be moving that up to the other pile. Then we've got 2 combat and 3 more gold. So that gives me a total of 7. Which, yeah, 7 gold. That's going to get me... That's actually going to get me Krythos, surprisingly enough. Then we'll replace the market with a Tithe Priest for 2 gold. Either expend for either 1 gold or gain 1 health for each champion you have in play. Non-guard strength of 3. We'll expend the Orc Grunt for 2 combat, which will give me a total of 4, and I'll hit Malvan with it down to 103. At this point, I honestly feel like I'm just prolonging the inevitable. Just because of how we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just because of how we're... yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we see we've got more firepower coming here, which I'm going to need desperately. So let's see what Malvan's doing here. He... Blighted Ground. At the start of your main phase, you or a player nearby you may sacrifice a card in hand with health printed on it to clear this hazard. Otherwise, it deals 4 damage to you. At level 2, deals an additional 4 damage. Yellow is moving to the area of the player with the most health, except it doesn't move, so it gives 12. Ouch. Hits the Orc Grunt for 3 to take it out, and then hits me for 9 to bring me down to 12. We need to chase him out in a hurry, but because we're the only player, this almost feels impossible at 1, but we're trying what we can here. So we're into round 9 now, I believe. I've lost count, and this is not going well, but let's see what we can do with it. First things first, start of the main phase, I'm going to sacrifice my Cat Familiar so I can clear that Blighted Ground. The problem, as much as I like the Cat Familiar, it's not going to hit hard enough for what I need right now. But I'm going to start off by playing a Death Touch, which will let me sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile, and where... I should have a spare gold. Oh yeah, I've got a spare gold I can toss to that. Then I'm going to play out a Spark. So 3 combat, and Malvan's going to discard a card. He will discard Insect Horde. Each 1 damage you deal to this minion must come from a different card. Expend for 3, and at level 2 he gets +2 health. Let's discard that, because the green is also requiring us to discard an action. Then I'm going to play out Brolean Lore Weaver for 2 gold, and ally abilities are turned on both Spark and Brolean. So target opponent discards a card. Malvan will discard. Transform into Keening Bat. Let me take a quick look at Keening Bat. Do I want that to happen? That would keep him in... Right now he's in Galloping Elk form. If we discard this, that would keep him in Galloping Elk form, and I'm not completely sure I want that. So Keening Bat form. Players draw 1 less card during their draw phase. Preferred ability, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Put any that are champions into your discard pile. Shuffle the rest into your deck. And get 3 combat. Green, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Put any with cost 1 or more into your discard pile, then shuffle the rest into your deck, giving him 2 combat. Red, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Put any that are actions into your discard pile, then shuffle the rest into your deck. Or yellow, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Put any with combat in their text box into your discard pile, then shuffle the rest into your deck, and he heals for 5 health. That would get him out of here. That would get him out of my area because he's hitting very hard. And we're at low health, so am I willing to trade drawing less cards for more health? I think, as much as I don't want to, I think I almost have to at this point. So I'm going to leave that on top of the deck. I'm going to put that face up because I know it's there. And then I'm going to play out the Fire Staff, which will give me another combat, and since I have 2 or more actions in play, I get to draw a card, so I will draw another gold for 1. So that brings me up to 3 total. Actually, once I expend Brolean, it'll bring me up to 3 total. Let's see, 2, 5, so 7, 8, which I'll hit Malvan with. That'll bring him down to 95. Having some problems with math there. And then I have a total of 3 gold to buy with, which will get me, I think, another tasty meal, and I'm going to plan on healing off of that as soon as I draw from it. Yeah. We'll do it like that. Brolean's mostly going to be acting as a meat shield here. 1, 2... 3, 4, 5. We are still drawing to 5 because we haven't flipped Malvan into Keening Bat yet. And hopefully, if we can last to get the Orc Grunt out, we might be able to start to hopefully turn this game around. But we are moving Malvan into Keening Bat form, which will move him back to the Master area, thankfully. Then his preferred ability is the top 2 cards of the deck. Any champions go into the discard pile, and we shuffle the rest back into the deck. So first up, gold, which is going to get shuffled back in, and a fire staff, which are all both going to get shuffled back in. Then he'll hit us for 3 to bring me down to 9. I'm not just dead yet, but I'm not in any kind of a good way here. He can't ignore the non-guard champions. So that's into turn 10 now. And let's see what we can do with trying to get this game somewhat under control. Okay, I was wondering briefly, but we did draw 5 cards because he was still in form. He was still in Galloping Elk when that came out, when the transform came out. So, I'll start off by playing the Orc Grunt. Both ally abilities are triggered, so I'll get to draw a card. I will draw Smash and Grab, which gives me 6 combat, and I can put a card from my discard pile on top of my deck, except I have nothing in my discard pile since I just reshuffled. Then I've got another gold. I've got a total of 10 combat so far, and now I've got, once I expend Brolane, I'm up to 6 gold. Let's see, then I've got a total of 12 combat, which I'll hit Malvan with to bring him down to 83. If nothing else, the Orc Grunt is probably going to be a guard meat shield. 6 gold. Let's grab the wolf form with that for 5. Actually, wait. We get to discard a card from Brolane. So the card on top of the deck is an insect horde. Let's not have that come up. Let's see. Then for 6 gold, I'm going to grab I'm going to grab wolf form, actually. Then a 1 cost, we've got Profit already in the market. And this will turn into a Tithe Priest. And actually, this kicks in now that I have something on top of my discard pile, I'm going to put Wolf Form on top, and then I'll grab Profit for my last 1. And then this will turn into Kristoff the Just. 5 gold. Yellow card, expends for 2 gold and 3 health. Ally ability, draw a card. Guard strength of 5. Then these will all prepare. And I'm only drawing 4 cards this time because Malvan's in Keening Bat form. 3, 4. And we see we've got some serious firepower coming, but we need to last to get that far. So let's see what Malvan's doing here. He is leveling up. Oh, wonderful. So the master moves into the area, into the master area, and transforms into Malvan Beastmaker. He levels up, then resolve his level ability and sacrifice this card. Alright, so we're flipping him into Malvan Beastmaker and turning him into level 2. So my class abilities are turned off. Deal 2 damage to the infected player and stun the 2 highest defense champions among all players, that's blue. Green is deal 4 damage to the infected player, you discard 2 cards. Red is deal 6 damage to the infected player, combat 6 combat. Yellow, deal 8 damage to the infected player, gain 8 health, and this is not going to last much longer. But we resolve the blue ability, 2 damage, and both my champions are stunned, which is unfortunate. Joy, joy. Well, as if I didn't have enough problems on my hands, Right. Well, it's been fun, folks. I think we have our last round coming up here, so let's get into it. We might be able to force him to shuffle his deck, but I'm not... Actually, 3 cards I think we can. Anyway, let's start off with a gold and another gold, meaning the next action I acquire this turn costs me 1 less. Spark for 3 combat and target opponent discards a card, so Malvan will discard. The infection takes over. Yikes, that would just kill me. Let's not have that go off, because I'd have to reveal 2 cards to prevent 2 wild cards to prevent 12 damage. Then I'll play out Wolf Form, which will turn on Spark's ally ability. Target opponent discards a card. So Malvan will discard, or will reveal from the top of Malvan's deck. Pecking Chicken. No, let's not deal with that. I realize I'm probably just going to be taking him down with me, but at this point, it's whatever. So Malvan so I'm going to be dealing 13 damage to Malvan, which will bring him down to 70. And then for 2, I'm going to grab another tasty meal. Even though I'm almost certain I'm not shuffling my deck again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got some healing coming, but that's going to require me to get to it. I only have 7 health left, and I don't like my odds. So Malvan is flipping over another Pecking Chicken with a red. So deal 6 damage to the infected player. That's actually just going to end up doing it ultimately. So 6 damage brings me down to 1. Then the Pecking Chicken would expend to give him another 2 combat. And I'd have to discard 2 cards with no cost at random, which is my Arcane Wand and the gold. Then Malvan gets another 6 combat, which is a total of 8, and that brings me down to -7. So that will do it for this playthrough of Hero Realms, and I've lost. So now with the house rule, from the second loss in this scenario, the background campaign is now officially over. Yowza. We didn't really have too many problems until we got to Malvan, but he just proved to be too much for the wizard, and I wonder if a more durable character would have survived that, but this looks like a very tough fight, especially at 1 player. But that will do it for this background campaign of Hero Realms. As for what's coming up, we do have the 400th... Well, I shouldn't spoil that. You can probably look on the channel and see what number video we're at. Later this week, we're going to have the end of September recap. Probably after Mystical Munchies on Saturday, when we revisit the World of Warcraft New Flavors of Azeroth cookbook to make Lava Colada. Sunday, the fall campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game, continues with the 5th scenario, Return to a Phantom of Truth. And next week, we're leading off October Wednesdays with a new game debut on the channel as we debut Mag 23 Guadalcanal from Historic Wings Games. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.